welcome back. Thank you for tuning in for our third episode.
Yes.
Two camera angles. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
I'm trying out something new. Yeah, and so let's get right into it. We're glad to we're glad to still be able to do this. I know we had talked about kind of covering a lot this episode, so yeah, I think we'll start off with Pocket Bard. Do you have? I know we've used it in sessions before, and you didn't really mess with it. We had someone else controlling it.
Yeah, I did not. I did not actually mess with it. I was running the game, and someone else was doing the music. So.
But from like that outside kind of view, like how do you feel about it? Like
it seemed helpful? It seemed really accessible. The way that the player was running it, it seemed smooth. Like the transitions between whatever he was doing were great. He added in sound effects when needed, which was cool, and added some more. No, it just seemed good. From where I was, it was good. Yeah,
I think it's a lot of fun. It adds a lot, especially if you're just running like a Spotify playlist that's, it just repeats through like 10 different audio tracks from various games or movies or whatever. But yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. Let me pull this up real fast. And we can, just to kind of show you guys at home kind of what it is. If you haven't heard about it, it's called the Pocket Bard. It's on Android and iOS. And as you can see here, it'll have like a whole layout. You can download different like packs that'll allow you to have, like say here, Fantasy Essential or Underground, stuff like that, for different worlds or different types of worlds that you want to build and help you kind of create that atmosphere. So say we just go into one, we can click City here. And you kind of get into it, and you can click Explore, and it kind of just gives you a background sound of what's going on. You can have like location ambience and mess with how loud that is and how intense it is. You can also add in like whispers if you want, to kind of give off the vibe that something's happening that nobody knows about.
That your character is going slowly insane.
That they're starting to hear voices. And just a bunch of other stuff. You can mess with your intensity. Say you're exploring and it's like, and then the town guard comes in, and you can go straight into combat, and it kind of gives you these more upbeat, intense kind of...
Yeah. I noticed during the session that we used it most recently, it seemed very good for the woods, and then adding in wind, adding in other ambience that could kind of layer over it, which was very helpful.
Yeah. And it's super easy to change from different places. Like I just went from city to forest, and we're back like exploring the forest, and you can have, like Rick was saying, rain or wind going on, or both, and just have it going. There's also like one shots is what they call them, and it's just single instances. So like an explosion, you can throw that in, or if you want to like have sounds for when someone dies, there's a body fall. It's pretty good. And then you get these like cool victory sounds at the end. It's pretty great. They're all royalty free. They're actually what we use for our intro and outro music, which is also super nice. I had talked to them briefly, and they said, go ahead and use these because it's free. It's free, and you're not going to get like strikes or anything for us. It's like, sick. So it works out a lot for us, and it gives us more to use as well.
I think it's nice for people who don't want to make all the sound effects themselves.
Yeah.
Because for me, I will tend to make a bunch of sounds, but I'm comfortable with that in general.
Like what sounds? What sounds do you make?
No, but
what? Come on, give us a sound.
No, just any sound you need. A lot of times, I will try to make it with or without the players or my wife looking at me and just laughing as I'm doing it. But you got to try. But it makes it easier for people who are maybe less comfortable doing that to just add it in, as opposed to what I've done before, which I've had, all these windows open, and then I have my file box, right? And then I just have to click on it for each thing. And like even using Roll20 or an online tabletop, you can layer the sounds, but you have to click every individual one, you can adjust volumes and stuff, but it's way less convenient than just, especially in person, it's less convenient than just pressing it on the screen.
Yeah.
And they go independently or with each other. So
Yeah. Or I know that we've run it before where like we just have YouTube pages up and then sometimes you click and it's like, oh, and here's an ad right before it. It kind of ruins the whole vibe of things. Yeah, I had talked to the guy who actually ran it in the combats for like during the campaigns for us, just for some more feedback too, because he, I think, out of all of us, has the most experience with it.
yeah.
And he had a couple good points that were like being able to add in your own sounds, whether it be like ambience or if you want to add in like your own one-shot effects. I think that would be something cool. They do have like a subscription layout so you can get access to their full catalog that has a whole bunch of different worlds and sounds. Like I think there's a space one that it goes into more depth where you get like ships and stuff. It's pretty cool. So I think that could also be something cool that you could add in. With the note of like if you do add sounds in, it takes away like the royalty free thing because you could add in who knows what. You could add in like the Star Wars scream sound.
Yeah. Well, I know he really wanted to do because he was playing a bard while also doing the music, and he had a bardic inspiration special thing for every time he did it, but he could not play both at the same time, right? So it eliminates. You have to go away from Pocket Bard to play something else. So if you could have them overlay or add into each other.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a cool feature to add. Especially for like one-shot effects, like a lightning bolt or something cool, or like a sword unsheathing kind of deal. If you want to get really like nitty-gritty with what you have going on, like everyone draws their weapon and you like multi-tab.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be good.
Yeah, or like every time a bow fires. I think that would be something cool you could add in your own custom sounds, because I feel like that really personalizes the experience. All in all, though, in my opinion, it's a pretty great app.
Yep, very handy, and the sounds are great, and it's good.
Yeah.
I think we'll continue to be using it.
Most definitely. Yeah. It's definitely a lifesaver. Man, all I could think about when we're talking about sounds is the time we were having to voice a girl.
Oh, yeah. Which one? Which time?
the one when you're playing with your wife and all of that.
What was she doing the whole time? Just like...
Yeah. Or even
or the one online where she's
we did
laughing
the
in the background.
online one, and we're playing, and all you can hear in the background is his wife laughing because he's trying to do a girl voice, and it's pretty great. It was pretty spot on, but yeah, just that was hilarious.
Adding a layer of enjoyment, I guess.
Yeah, and I feel like the voices you do are pretty spot on. Like it's super helpful.
It's good when they don't change between sessions.
Yeah.
For the same character.
I feel like we didn't have as much role play in our most recent campaign that we just ended like a couple weeks ago. We didn't have as much character role play as I would have liked, but it was also just kind of hard. It was a little bit of a bigger group. Yeah. And kind of rowdy group.
Yeah. A little rowdy, yeah.
Little rowdy. But it was fun. All in all, it was great.
Good.
Yeah, I actually have a homebrew here that I want to talk about. I had messaged Wondrous Whatsits this past week to I try to talk to all of the brewers before I ask them, or before we use their stuff, just so I'm like, hey, is it cool if we use this? And so they're not just
permission's good.
Yeah, so they're not just like, hey, we didn't give you permission to use this. You got to take this down right now. So I had messaged them this week, and they said it was cool that we could use their stuff. So a huge shout out to them. Wondrous Whatsits on Instagram. We'll put their information down in the bio.
And then we'll get Fryan right with this one.
Yes.
What is he talking about? Yes.
Yeah, the item we chose, I think, for this week from them was the adamantine frying pan. Israel actually chose this one for us. He's behind the scenes. He jumped on. We didn't have a microphone for him, so he's just here. Hi, Israel. But yeah, he chose this one out for us. So it's a very rare shield. This frying pan is made from adamantine and can be used as a shield and carried in one hand. Wielding the shield increases your AC by 2. And obviously you only can benefit from one at a time. Because of the insulting nature of this adamantine.
Insulating.
Wonderful. Thank you. Insulating nature of the adamantine, you can wield the shield no matter how hot it gets. The shield has the following abilities, which both trigger its get cooking. You want to talk about this?
Okay, when you succeed on a saving throw against an attack, spell, or effect that deals fire damage, you instead take no damage. So avoid fire damage, pretty helpful. And then if an object you're holding or wearing is subject to an effect that heats it, such as placing it over a fire, a magical effect like heat metal, the shield conducts the heat into itself and away from that object. So I like the application possibilities of drawing heat from something else, because it can be, who knows what you want to do with it, but things that give you options like that, so not just the shield itself or the item itself, but you can affect other things, is great.
Yeah, I think it's also cool, like, just different scenarios you could pull it out of is like, you guys are just set up for camp and you're cooking for everyone, and you're like, oh shoot, we're in combat now, and now you instantly have this effect started up.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
You want to read the get cooking?
So it triggers get cooking, both of those stipulations, I guess. The shield burns hot for 1 minute and gains a powerful special melee attack, weapon attack, dealing 2d6 fire damage on a hit, in addition to like your regular improvised weapon damage, which I think is cool. You could go like, what is it, Tavern Brawler feat, where you get like increased.
Yes. For improvised weapons.
Yeah.
Would you allow the 2d6 fire damage on a shield bash from like a shield master?
I
feat?
thought about that. It's kind of weird because you're not. You could argue it yes, because I don't see why not. Like why it wouldn't make sense. But if you're being super strict, I guess not. But personally, I would say yes, because it's still making an attack kind of action. And that'd be kind of dumb to say like, oh yeah, you getting bashed with this doesn't deal fire damage.
But it's hot. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I probably would let that happen.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool. I like the art.
Yeah.
Very cool art.
I think the only thing that might be a good stipulation to add is how long or how hot it is. Because you could say like it touches a torch for 1 second and it has this effect already for a minute. So
True.
I think if you're cooking for like a round, or if you use heat metal on it for a round, then it has these effects kind of deal.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't, in no world would you put something over a fire for 1 second and then you have it burning hot for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good to specify that.
Yeah, I think that's the only stipulation I would add to it, which might take away like the very rare aspect. It might lower it to a rare, but I think that would also be good just to side on the DM side a little bit and make it a little easier to manage.
I could see that. It's all subjective, but if you did a torch or something, maybe an action, but even though that's 6 seconds is pretty short for a torch, but you could wiggle with it.
Yeah. Or even it's like, oh yeah, actually I had flame tongue on the back of it, and so it's automatically hot.
Yeah, I guess so.
And so I feel like it's super easy to kind of mess with.
To cheese.
Yeah. But
Get
no,
cheesy with the pan.
No, I think it's pretty cool. Even the artwork's pretty nice for it. How it has that kind of strap that goes over, and you put your hand through both hand, or like you hold on to the handles of the shield.
Yeah.
Or of the pot.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's super nice. So huge shout out to them over at Wondrous Whatsits.
Y'all should use it in your games.
Yeah, glad to have them as part of our group. Kind of having multiple areas, like multiple brewers to pull from that have different styles and just how they brew their items or what they do. Somebody that we haven't really talked about yet is the Dungeon Lab, and they do like themed groupings, which I think is super cool. I think most recently they did I want to say it's like an underwater or like a piratey kind of sea theme.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I think that's super cool if you're doing a one-shot, or even if you're in a big campaign and you're going to this area and you need items or want your like big bad to have something cool. It's useful having someone who does groupings as well as being able to sprinkle in like a couple
Yeah.
random items here and there.
Definitely. Yeah, it helps to see the theme. I like that. Themed items are great.
Yeah, I feel like it helps. Like how we did last time with Blood Drinker, I think it was.
Oh yeah,
And that one was,
the sword that
yeah, the sword
was
that-
not used.
I used it. I mean, Hollow Edge, that's what it was called.
Yeah.
I used it, but it was against vampires. And,
Yeah.
but no, that was cool. Speaking of the one shot and Hollow's Edge and all that, we did the one shot right after our last recording. I feel like it went really well.
Yeah, it was. It's interesting. I brought in. There were, as I hope with any of you who are doing games in person, I hope that other people that you want to be there show up, and will be ready to play with you. We did our one shot, and there were extra people that came, and I was prepared for that, and so I had some of our friends play one extra player, but also bad guys.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. There was eight extra? Like there was 8 of us total.
Yeah, so
It was-
3 extra people.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was a good group though. Like it made it a lot of fun.
It was fun, yeah.
We had, I don't think one of the guys, the player, and the NPC turn player was.
Yeah. This is his first time playing.
Yeah, I think it was his first time playing, so you gave him like a rough outline of a
Yeah.
goblin rogue or something
Very
like that.
rough. Yes, and he
Yeah.
he wholeheartedly held on to that idea for his character, and
Yeah.
then just ran with it. It was great.
Yeah, and he wasn't afraid to like get into it. He was just running around like, I'm knee bleeds.
Yeah.
It was pretty great.
Yeah,
I want to revisit that.
yeah,
That,
I would like to as well.
that whole session was great.
But I had people play. One person played the big bad at the end, and I also had another person
Play
sit
his
next
boyfriend.
to me. No, play the wyvern. Well, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that too. But play the wyvern. I had a wyvern in the encounter, and someone who had never DM'd anything before got to pilot that
Yeah.
monster, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think having them on your side definitely helps get that DM aspect from going from player to DM, where you're still just playing a character.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're on the DM side of things. Like, I know you had Israel play our big bad for one session
Yep.
in the campaign, and that was also pretty cool.
Yeah.
'Cause-
It's nice to not have to run everything.
Yeah. Well, plus I feel like it takes the big bad out, because I don't know how you feel, but from a DM side, I want the story to go and I want my players to have fun doing it. Whereas a third party coming in being like, all right, this is my time to shine. Like I'm going to wreck house as this bad guy.
It's good.
I
Yeah.
feel like it's definitely gives a little, because as a DM you might just be like, oh well.
I don't
I'll
want to
just-
kill
I'll
everybody.
just take this down a little bit. Oh, he only did 1 damage kind of deal.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're playing from a third party and don't really care,
No emotional connection.
you're just like, dude, I'm gonna wreck house right now.
Yeah. No, and it's definitely good in that aspect. But then in that one shot, you were playing a special homebrew class.
Yes, from
Which we wanted
that
to talk
coffee
about.
lock. Yeah, so huge shout out to that coffee lock. Thank you again. I tried out his academic class. Super fun. I enjoyed it wholeheartedly. Like I would love to play that again. There are some aspects that are a little broken, which we can get into as we talk about it, that are either a little broken or could be done differently. I played, I believe, the tactician subclass, which you get to, from level 1, you get to choose your field of study because it's an academic. They don't have any magic casting, but they have abilities built into them
Which felt kind of like magic.
that
when you're
are
using them.
basic. They have abilities built in that are basically magic, but they're super cool. Let me pull this up real fast. But yeah, you get to choose your field of study, which is the Justicar, which is an academic that uses education to sharpen their willpower. The Librarian, which is kind of the non-magical wizard from what I was reading up. A well-read academic with a penchant for learning valuable information and debuffing foes. The Physician, a trained academic capable of healing and restoring their allies. And the Tactician, the one that I played, a shrewd academic that can rearrange the battlefield and mobilize their party. Yeah, I honestly enjoyed playing it a lot. It felt kind of weak in the aspect of not being able to do anything but hit, really, because a lot of it's you only can cast once per long rest, and we only had the one
Yeah.
the one stretch, and so I kind of ended up just saving everything for the last fight.
As you do
Yeah.
for one shots, yes.
But so the combats before, like the wyvern, there's 2 wyverns, and I was like, "There's no way we're gonna win this." I got my butt handed to me. I'm pretty sure I died in that fight.
Yes.
In the one shot.
One of 6 times, yes.
Yeah, I died like 6 times in the one shot. It was pretty nuts. But yeah, I was playing an Azamar academic, which was cool. Let me pull up some of their features that I really liked. One of it was interdisciplinary, which definitely made up for the lack of magic, which I had kind of briefly touched on in the last episode, where you get to choose like a feature from another subclass, and it has to be a subclass to avoid being. There's a couple that it's like class features that are super strong.
Yeah.
And so that I ended up using the exact same subclass feature as the main guy that we're throwing the one shot for. But that was even fun. It added like a D8 of damage, or I could move around, or it could move the enemy.
Oh, it's Swarm Keeper, right?
Yeah, the Swarm Keeper. So that was cool.
Yeah. It's good you're talking about it, because I was not paying that much attention to that while trying to run
Yeah.
the 8-person game.
Well, you weren't paying attention to it until I did.
Oh yeah, that
Where
thing.
is it?
Eliminating the feature from
Yes.
the boss. Yes.
That one. Oh, did I not go tactician? Wait, let me find it. Oh, I don't think I did tactician. Where'd it go?
Did you do the well read one?
I might have done the well-read one. Well, while I look for it, we can talk about it a little bit. I forgot what it's called, but basically, I got to cancel out a feature that. Oh, thank you. That I. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
Don't worry, we'll edit this out, right? We'll take it out.
I'm also not gonna pretend that I know Latin and try to say this. But basically, from the 5th level, you keep the rules of combat fair by preventing enemies from abusing their power. When a creature you can see within 60 feet uses a feature or a spell, the big thing is the feature, you can use reaction to force them to succeed on a wisdom saving throw with a DC equal to 8 plus your proficiency and your wisdom modifier. And on a failed save, the target cannot use the same spell or feature for the duration of 1 minute.
Which is very long in combat.
Yes, but also the only reason we won the last fight. You want to talk about the feature?
Well, yeah, it's just it was I forget. It was like a CR. You guys are level 3, or was it higher? 5. Okay, you're 5. So level 5. It was like it's a vampire, not a vampire spawn, but one above that, like a CR9 or something that I found, and it had a kind of modified vampiric gaze, and that was not able to be used for the entire fight. And that was kind of the scary ability that it had, and then that just made it not have the ability for the entire combat, which made it a lot easier.
Yeah, it's honestly the only reason we won. We were getting wrecked. I mean, I had used the what is it called? The Azamar feature that allowed me to.
Oh, the wings and stuff, right?
So instead of the ability to fly, I instead chose to just constantly do damage around me, like the holy light damage.
Yeah.
And I feel like that that really helped to keep the vampire down, because that was
it was good.
that was rough.
You guys did a good job. But that feature, it feels very strong.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm assuming on something bigger, like a dragon or something with legendary resistances, they probably could ignore that with it. But it remained to be seen because we just did it with a level 5 character in a one shot that was kind of hectic. So
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple of things for this specific ability that could be changed. One, being able to re-roll your wisdom save. Like being able to roll a wisdom save at the end of your turn, so you still have
to use it
to
again.
be able to gain it back. Also putting a limit on how many times you can use it, because I could literally do it for every feature and spell that anyone casts.
Oh, there's no limit.
There's no
to
limit. It's just used as a reaction.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
So that would
That's
also
kinda strong.
that would also be helpful, because you could be like, no more breath weapon.
Yeah.
Oh, another dragon. No more breath weapon.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know it was every round.
It's every round I could
Okay.
do it, which is pretty.
Yeah, that's
nuts.
strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like the idea. It's a very cool idea for a class. And then your guy was melee a lot, right? Mostly, right?
Yeah, because there's not much else. I mean, I could be in the back with a bow kind of deal.
Okay.
But I just used the short sword and a shield.
And then it was int as your attack stat?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I used intelligence as my attack stat. I don't know. I'm looking at this, and I'm either I messed up when I was building the class, and I took the fifth level subclass from another class.
Oh.
Or it got switched out.
It's all right.
So sorry about that.
It's okay.
I either messed up or it got switched around. One of the two.
People had fun, so that's what matters.
I know. I'm looking at it. I was like, I 100% played a tactician, and that
With a different subclass.
with a
feature.
different subclass feature. So
Okay. That's fine.
yeah, I know. Something else that the tactician has is the tactics, is what they're called, and you have a list where you can choose from 2 tactics to adopt, and they give you different boosts, basically. Like perimeter defense, using a bonus action, I can select a target within 30 feet that can hear me, and I can like give them my insights on battle and be like, oh yeah, be careful for this. And until the start of their next turn, they have 1 AC, like an additional AC. And so it's a really strong support character that I feel like I was just playing kind of up in the bad guy's face. During the session, I was like, no one's going after the main vampire.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure if you kill the main vampire, most of them will die. So
What makes you say that?
that's just how vampires work, man. I'm an academic. I read a book about it. But you would agree there's that assumption that like a
Yes.
swarm hive mind kind of situation, you kill out the main guy and you're good to go. And so I was just charging at him the whole time, and I think I had one that every time I attack, I think this is an academic idea. Every time you attack, they have to roll and either get knocked prone or something. And that
It's you are tactically striking, right?
yeah.
Is the flavor there.
Yeah, so you like know how to hit. Here we go, academic ideas. You knew how to hit and be able to knock people down.
Like Battle Master maneuvers.
Yeah.
But does it have charges?
No.
It may need charges.
The academic ideas, not all of them are super strong. There is a couple that were insanely strong, or not strong, but utility-wise, they're super useful. Like we talked about, the astronomy academic idea that you can never get lost by non-magical means, and you and your allies only require half the amount of time to sleep for a full rest.
Yeah.
And so being able to be like, all right, 4 hours are good.
Yeah, that's
And there's no stipulation of you can't double this. So you could have 2 academics and be like, 2 hours full rest. And so
we'll see.
I try to play fair because I kind of know what it feels like to be on the DM
The receiving
side.
end, yes.
And so
those things.
it's kind of a mess to be like, oh yeah, we have 6 glyphs of ward, or like we have 6 glyphs in our bag.
Yes, that's for a different podcast. though.
That's
Almost stressful.
that's the rage.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Overall, very very cool class. I'd love to use more stuff from that coffee lock in games. They're very cool.
Yeah, I've never really messed around with a homebrewed class too much. And so being able to do this and kind of get into that mindset of academic, I was taking notes on everything.
Yes.
Which is also really funny. Just while we're playing, I'm like, all right, and what does that mean?
It gives you good role playing flavor. It was good.
And so that was super cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, huge shout out. Thank you, that coffee lock. Amazing class. I really want to play it again. So
We'll see.
yeah, maybe
Get
we'll
the chance.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a one shot soon. But that kind of takes us into. We had thrown out questions like 2 months ago,
Yeah.
a while back. We want to try to get like a question portion at the end, and so this gives us a good segue into one of our questions from a friend of mine. And the question was, in what ways would you edit or homebrew your favorite class or subclass? And I feel like you and I might do this a lot, whether it be subconsciously or purposefully, like changing class features or even bending the rules around what something might say. Like, what was one that we had recently? I had a blink dog. And it says anything that it's carrying or wearing comes with it. And so we argued if you're riding the blink dog, it's carrying you, so you would also teleport with it.
Yeah.
Which I never used, to be fair. I'd never used that. I just teleported myself. But being able to do that,
Yeah.
I feel like...
Well, it's good working with people on stuff they want to try within reason. I will say too much homebrewing will throw the game out of balance very easily, which I've learned and I'm learning. But
even too much magic items.
too many, yeah. Well, there are rules for that, or
It still felt so messy.
Yeah, I did not follow those near the end. But yeah, it's good to talk about what makes sense, and then you of course have people that ask all the time, say stuff like, "Oh, can I do this?" or "Hey, this says this, but what if I change it a little to that?"
Yeah.
And it's good, with the open dialogue to the DM. It's great because then you can actually work on stuff and have fun. So that's the most important part.
Yeah, I think that was something I was trying to think about how to approach this question, and not necessarily approach it as what class or subclass would we specifically change ourselves, but instead approach it as what are some stipulations or causes that would allow you to homebrew a class or a subclass or even a race.
Yeah.
Say like you wanted to play a lizard folk, but we're in like a piratey beachy theme, and but maybe it can like have a super strong swim speed and breathe underwater. Whatever.
Well, they have some of that stuff
Yeah.
ready.
But whatever you'd want to argue. Even
Yeah.
if you wanted to argue like a dragonborn that could swim underwater.
Oh, like a water dragonborn?
Yeah, like a water dragon. Like a turtle dragonborn.
A turtle dragonborn. Yeah? Yeah, no, I was thinking to this question too. I was initially thinking specifically what class. But it gets kind of hard. But like for me, I would enjoy, because I really like Order of the Scribes Wizard. So what if the book was more involved? What if it could be, but then of course you start getting in the realm of what an artificer does. So it already passes that a little bit. I thought, what if the book was actually a weapon? What if the book was a robot?
Yeah.
Then it's an artificer. Right. So it's that's why I think addressing that and looking at what the academic is or other people that make homebrew classes that actually feel very different, that's good, because it's hard to do that,
Yeah.
to not step over what other classes do.
Yeah. Or even if you do, like for the academic, they had its feature was
To take stuff from other classes.
You learned this, you studied this subclass and learned how to do this.
Yeah.
Like, I feel it's not a bad thing to kind of mix classes. But I feel like you just got to do it tastefully and
Yeah.
like not overdo it either. Oh man, I just had a thought and it just ran away. One thing I did want to try to and maybe we can talk about this, is we never really addressed multi-classing the same class, or even taking.
Yeah.
Like I had brought up, can I do 6 levels of battlesmith artificer, but can I do one,
Yeah.
like my next level, can it be one artillerist level and just give up my level 7 battlesmith, but get my level 7 artillerist to kind of
Yeah.
mix
But-
features?
But I think when we talked about it, that's hard because it's like an overlap of
Yeah.
here's the levels, and then also you are investing to build up, right? Each piece, like each level of it. So
Yeah.
if you just go interchangeably,
All right, well, to get back into it, a little interruption there. We do borrow this space, so surprised that's only our first time having someone come in.
yeah,
We were talking about subclass, or multi-classing the same class. I just asked because I think there's a feature I wanted from a different class or from a
the
different
other
subclass.
subclass, right?
And I had argued that, I'm skipping out on this kind of big thing because normally subclasses of the same class level at the same rate. Like it's the same like level markers that
Yeah.
give you cool stuff. So it'd be like, oh, well, I'm still skipping this, and it's not too much of a difference from this. Can I jump like that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you work with your DM,
Yeah.
you could probably do that within reason, and it always depends on what it is and specific things you're trying to do. But I mean, why
Yeah.
not? If
Yeah.
you,
We never really addressed it too much.
yeah,
It was like, can I do this? And we're like, we'd have to talk. And I was like, it's fine, never mind.
yeah, which it just takes some work to try and finagle it, right? To
Yeah.
make it seem balanced. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Can try.
Yeah, I think, again, just readdressing the question, to subclass or to homebrew a subclass or mess with a class or race. Just make sure you have a lot of open conversations with whoever's DMing your group.
Yeah.
Just because that's the most important part of the DM. Yes or no is everything.
Yeah.
I think, just make sure it fits into the story is always a huge thing for me. Is like story-wise, if it's fits the theme or the area or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, going into that would also be good.
Yeah. If it's not very extremely jarring with
Yeah.
the theme or the mood of the
Or
campaign.
like we had talked about, and we originally had it for my artificer. It was a Warforged artificer, and we had made it a druid-esque, like it was fully nature, like
Made of wood.
fully made of
artificer,
wood,
living
artificer
wood.
kind of deal.
Yeah.
Which I know is part of the Warforged build. There's the dark wood core that you can choose. But also having like its weapon be a part of its body. Like I had a Yikuwa, which is just a short spear, basically. And instead of being like, and now I draw my spear, I had it like
just
part of
there.
my arm, and
Yeah.
it kind of just grew out kind of deal. Which I know is very similar to arm blade weapons, which are Warforged exclusives. That's like built into your arm, and you have like a scythe now. But I feel like that's something we kind of did where it didn't change much, but it also was just tasteful
Yeah, it's flavor.
home brewing that was like, oh, cool, he just grew his own weapon kind of deal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so it's just, for me, I'd have to really think about what I would do to my favorite or favorites of classes or subclasses. But there are really a lot of good things out there that I would probably look at first.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work to work with your DM and to try to homebrew something and make it balanced. And sometimes people don't have time for that.
Yeah, I feel like we spent so much time working.
We did, yes.
Working during the campaign. I feel like it was almost every day a week sometimes that we'd call for an hour, 2 hours, and just talk about what we were doing. And that's kind of what I feel like inspired us to get into this. This is just what we did, what we were doing. Is be like, hey, so what do you think about this, or how can we do this? And I feel like it'll help, especially once we can have different people on or different points of views. It'll be helpful.
Yeah, I agree.
Just to get this overall encompassing. And I don't think I've really seen too much content of behind the scenes or even here's items for you to use or things that you can do. Instead, it's more like, hey, this is what we're doing. Look at this, or like just full on playthroughs, which eventually I want to do. We had talked about the idea of one world and overarching story, but different, just constantly switching out characters and people. Like and just wherever the campaign leads, that's kind of where we go. Like if for some reason the campaign leads into like, oh yeah, you're revisiting like with people that you've met before in the past that know you of this one person's backstory, then the next episode of the campaign is that one person and three new people that play these characters. To kind of, because there's a lot of people in our different campaigns that play. I want to say it
was a good amount. Yeah, you could populate a game easily.
Yeah, we could have like 15, almost 20 different people that could play different characters, just to get everyone involved, but also have just a cool story to tell. I think that's the biggest thing, is like having this story and having this group to tell that story. That's just constantly going on. I know a lot of bigger channels do that as well, but I do like the idea of rotating cast and rotating characters to kind of help that story along.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, but
I'm down.
One day.
We'll see. Yeah, if you guys have any questions or ideas or stuff, feel free to shoot us a DM or to comment, comment, and especially questions or cool stuff that you see, that you'd maybe want to use or wonder, application of it or something.
Yeah. And
we'd love more stuff.
Yeah, I feel like that's the biggest thing that we try to do, is just application of items. It's so easy to see. Interruption number 2. 2 in one day.
Yeah.
3 episodes. 2 in one day.
It's all good. Because we had 0 the other ones, so.
Yeah, it makes up for it. That's how we're going to do our surprise guests. We're just going to have them open the door.
No.
But yeah, I feel like a big thing for us is we like examining and figuring out how to apply items. And figure out how it fits into worlds, or even not just items, feats in like anything homebrewed, figuring out how
monsters.
Yeah, monsters are a lot of fun. We should do some monsters next time. But yeah, figuring out how to apply anything into a campaign, I feel like, is kind of what we're going for.
Yeah.
So yeah, if there's anything you guys want, all 11 of you at this point in time. But yeah, if there's anything you guys want us to look at, or pages that you want us to talk about, or even just ideas, let us know. Comment, DM us. I reply to everything that comes in. So,
yep.
Yeah, let us know. And yeah, thanks for watching.